Gabby is very kind to step in and be our guest for today. Gabi Sorrentino, she and I work together in the sports department at Fox 19. And she also was a student athlete in her undergraduate work. And so I wanted her to come in and talk to you about the whole process of going to school, being a student athlete, balancing everything, the experience that she got both as an undergraduate and a graduate student. And really, I want her to talk about the job search because I was the same way. When I graduated with my master's at Notre Dame, I'm going, well, this is easy. I'm working at the South Bend Tribune. They're going to love my experience that I have as a reporter. They're going to love the fact that I've got my master's in broadcasting. They're just going to fall over themselves hiring me. It was not that way. It was not as easy as I had hoped. It took a lot of calls and a lot of tapes. That's when we actually had a physical tape that we sent out to news directors. It was not the easy process that I thought it was. And so I want Gabby to talk about really the process on how you make the connections, how you get the right people to look at what you're doing, and how you really build on those connections to advance your career. And that's really what I want Gabby to talk about. And again, we'll talk for 30 minutes or so. Any questions that you have, please jump in. This is the time that you can talk to folks about what do you do? How do you make those resume tapes? What do you put on there? Who do you contact? Gabby is the person that can help you out on that. And so I want to make sure that I leave plenty of time at the end for you to ask your questions. But Gabby, again, thank you so much for being with us. And I want you to start, I always say start at the beginning. Tell us about how you got interested in sports and how you decided that, okay, this is what I'm going to study. This is what I'm going to get my experience in. So Gabby, I'll give you the floor.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me, Betsy, and nice to see you all here. I've just loved sports my whole life. I was lucky enough growing up that my parents took me to Washington Commander games. Of course, they were the Redskins back then, and grew up going to football games, being in an NFL stadium, and I just fell in love with sports. I rode horses starting at 3 years old, played other sports, but then horses was just took over my life. And, so I kept up with sports, kept up with riding. And just in kind of high school, I was like, I might want to go into sports. I didn't know really what I wanted to do, but I knew that it was something in sports. And so I got recruited to Sacred Heart University for their Division I equestrian team. And that's where I went to undergrad. It's a tiny little school in Connecticut. And, I just did the horseback riding thing. That was my life for the 4 years. And I also majored in sports communications and sports management there. And then I was like, okay, I want to be on TV. But riding took up so much time. I don't know if any of you are familiar with horseback riding, but it's like a full-time job. We were a 3-season sport. We were away every weekend. We had curfews. We had to go to the barn to take care of the horses on our off days. So it was just like a full-time job for me. I had internships at NBC Sports and CBS Sports as a PA, but I never really got that on-air experience. I didn't work for the TV station. I didn't work for the newspaper. Like I was just so into writing and doing that I didn't feel like I had a lot of time on top of my classes, on top of my internships. But luckily, NBC was amazing. I met so many people there, CBS too. And that just helped me build my resume for grad school. And I knew I wanted to go to USC. My uncle went to USC. My grandparents are huge Trojans fans. Sorry, Notre Dame people. So went to USC for grad school, and that was in the middle of COVID. So I was doing Zoom University. So I was doing all my broadcast classes on Zoom. My reel for my first job was fully stuff on Zoom, and my dad shooting my stand-ups in my backyard. That was what it was. Wasn't the best experience because Annenberg, I'm not sure if any of you are familiar, but USC's School of Journalism, Annenberg is really nice and really well known, and I didn't get to use any of that stuff. So that was tough, but made the most of it. Was living out in LA, so I couldn't complain. And yeah, made my resume reel literally from stuff that I did in my backyard, going to high schools that were empty and just standing outside and talking about fake sports that happen. Like literally was doing fake live shots and stand-ups, but that's what it was. And that's kind of how I ended up at my first job.
So you did all this.
Yep.
How did you find your first job? Did you, there are services out there,
hmm
there are agents out there.
hmm
Did you put everything on YouTube and just send out your resume? What was the process like getting that first job? Because you started in Illinois, correct?
Yep. I started in Southern Illinois. I knew I wanted to go the local TV route. I knew that because I had done the PA stuff and I didn't want to do, a lot of people can do PA and then maybe get a job doing something else. So, but I knew I didn't want to do that. Like I knew that I wanted to be on air, get my reps in, and I was willing to go wherever. I did interviews for Iowa, Oregon. I was doing writing tests, screen tests, reading tests. Like I was doing everything. And sending my resume, cover letter, and reel that I literally made on, I don't know, I think it was like Premiere that I made from all my stand-ups from college. Put it on YouTube, sent it out to everybody, jobs that I knew I wasn't going to get, jobs that I knew I could probably get, and had interviews, got a lot of no's. And it was just a grind. Like I was living at home in LA. So I was in a fine situation because I was living at home, but it did take me a few months and just sent my stuff to all these stations. And I heard back from Southern Illinois. At the time, it was like a market 84, I think. I don't think it is anymore. I think it's gone down, but they covered three states. So it was Southeast Missouri, uh, Western Kentucky, and Southern Illinois. There was stations in each state. We were in Southern Illinois. So there was a lot of eyes, and that's why it was a bigger market. But heard from them. They did not fly me out for a visit, which should have done. And after a few weeks of interviews and talking to the news director, I moved there. Literally, me and my dad drove from LA to Southern Illinois, and it was the biggest culture shock of my life. I think I was like, got there and was like, okay, can we turn around and go back now? But no, my dad dropped me off and I was there for 2 years and I survived. I'm here to tell the story now. But yeah, it was kind of like a crazy whirlwind thing and it happened really quick. But yeah, I was there for 2 years, so now I'm here.
Now, was that a gray station? Is that how you got connected?
No, it was an Allen station,
Okay.
which is kind of, they're not even really a thing anymore. After a year and a half, agents started reaching out to me because they saw my work. Now I'm represented by an agent, and that's how I got the job here at Fox 19. But yeah, no, it was Alan.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like for example, WNDU in South Bend is a gray station.
hmm
And if you are affiliated with a station that has several stations in its ownership group, they love to promote within. They
Yep.
love that. They are posting all the time. Gabby, you and I both get those emails
hmm
in our
Yeah.
work email that they are always posting for positions within gray. So, kind of keep that in the back of your mind that this is something that the station ownerships love to promote from within. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, you may not, be thrilled about working at so and so, but they might promote you within to another station. So,
Right.
um, as you get more experience doing sports, did you know when you got that first job, did you know you were going to be a one-man band? Did they tell you that you're going to shoot and you're going to do stand-ups and you're going to edit and you're going to do web stories and you're going to post social? I mean, this is what the world is right now. You go to one thing, you'll go to that game on Saturday and I'm guessing you'll shoot your own stuff, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I was as prepared in my first job for that. It was just me and my sports director, and I will not lie to you guys, he was not a great person. He didn't want to work. All he did was anchor at the desk. And so there were times, especially with it just being two people, that I would work, 11, 13 days in a row when he would go on vacation. I worked weekends solo, which was when everything happened. So, luckily for live shots, they did give me a photographer, which I was very grateful for. But in terms of like going out and shooting my own stuff, yeah, I did all of that in Southern Illinois. That's why when I came here to Cincinnati and they were like giving me a photographer, I was like, wait, what is this life? I'm not used to this. So it's definitely nice when you move up in markets, you get these like perks, but yeah, there I was doing everything. It's funny. I was actually going through my old videos this week because Zoom wouldn't download the update because I have no room on my computer. And I was going through my old live shots and stand-ups and everything, and I was just looking, I was like, oh my God, these are so bad. They're so poorly lit. I'm out of focus. And it's just, it's funny looking back, and now I can be like, okay, at least there's some good growth here in my career. But it was a lot in Southern Illinois. I was definitely not prepared for the amount of work that I was doing. I didn't know how to work a camera because again, I was on Zoom my whole entire grad school. So I didn't know how to work a camera. I had to learn to work a camera. I had no idea what a live view was. I had no idea what a rundown was. It was a full-on learning curve for me, but I'm grateful for it because I do feel like because I didn't have as much guidance, I really just had to do trial and error and learn everything on my own. Because I didn't have the mentorship from my sports director that I should have had. Obviously, here at Fox 19, I have the greatest mentors in the world. So I'm learning so much every day still. But there, I do feel like I was just thrown into the deep end and I was forced to swim because you still have to make deadline. You still have to go cover these events. You have no choice. And so I am grateful that that is how it worked out for me because I do feel like one, it made me a better reporter, and two, it made me grow up a lot very quickly because I was living on my own in the middle of nowhere, just me and my dog. And my parents were basically like, good luck. We're not going to come to Southern Illinois, which I don't blame them. And I just was forced to like become an adult really quick and figure things out. So I am grateful for that experience. Obviously, it would have been nice to have some more mentorship, but that's not how it went for me. And that's okay. I'm here now, so it's fine.
Yeah, and Gabby's right. Our sports director for Fox 19, Joe Daneman is,
The
I
best.
think, one of the best storytellers
Mhm.
ever. Not only is he a good guy, but he just puts together packages that are just exquisite. And
Yep.
I think that, we can all learn from how he puts
100%.
together. He's a great writer. And that kind of goes back to what we talked about in our very first class that, just be a good communicator because everything we do has something to do with communications. And
Yep.
he's just such a good writer and such a good communicator. And, I just think he's the best. So,
Yep.
but Gabby, you're right. I mean, you had to sink or swim
Hmm.
and you decided to swim. And so now you're in Cincinnati and they put you on a plane with the Bengals and say, go cover the Bengals by
Yeah.
yourself
Yep.
and you can do it.
Yep. Yeah, it's definitely crazy to, like I said, look back and watch those videos and I'm like, that girl 2 years ago could never do what I'm doing now. And, it's a testament to working hard, not giving up. There were so many times where I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm done. And I could have just left Southern Illinois and been done with it. After Southern Illinois, I was so ready to leave. And so I moved back home to Baltimore with my mom. My mom's in Baltimore, my dad's in LA. And so I moved back to Baltimore with my mom. And that's when my agent and I really started the job search. And I was burnt out. I was so over this job. I will be so honest with you. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'll use my business degree and do something and make a lot more money probably than I would make in television. But, he was like, Gabby, like, stick with it. I believe in you. And I applied to so many jobs. I think it was about 4 months between my contract ending in Southern Illinois and then me signing my contract here in Cincinnati. And I got so many no's. It's insane. And I was just like, I'm over it. I don't want to do it. I'm good. And everything happens for a reason. And I know like Betsy probably agrees, like this career, just things happen the way that they're supposed to happen. And I ended up here. And obviously, I'm in a great spot now, and I'm in my second year here, and I absolutely love it. Wouldn't want to be anywhere else right now. It's amazing. But it's just one of those things where you have to be ready to get so many no's. You have to be ready to not feel great at times because that's just, I feel like, how this industry works of everybody has who they want in mind in the hiring process, and you just don't know. You don't know what these stations are looking for. You don't know what these companies are looking for. So you're gonna get told no, that's gonna happen. And it can be hard. But I would say like my biggest thing looking back was like just stick with it, believe in yourself, bet on yourself because things happen the way they were supposed to.